It's Wednesday. You know what that means. I'm Eric McLeod.
And I'm Chris Holden.
This is LowBlowRadio podcast. It's, like I said, Wednesday, December 30th, 2020, our last LowBlowRadio podcast of the year. And tonight we're going to, kick things off at least with the tribute show that AEW gave to Brody Lee. Unfortunately, I say if you weren't aware of the news, I don't know why you're hearing of it first from us, but you never know where you hear this stuff. Yeah, unfortunately, Brody Lee did pass away on the 26th earlier this week, and AEW was able to put together this fantastic tribute show for Brody and his family, with a lot of great Dark Order members being selected to shine here, as well as a lot of negative ones favorites. So a great show, and we'll do our best to kind of blow by blow things here, but not your typical AEW Dynamite, that's for sure.
No, it wasn't really. I mean, it was technically AEW Dynamite, but it was much more a celebration of life, a celebration of wrestling.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the companies tonight, and I think they highlighted that a lot with the final video package. They had no problem putting pictures up from both WWE old shots, WWE more recent shots, and amongst them, their own stuff and personal archives and old footage.
No, for sure. All that aside, we were just celebrating the life of Brody Lee here, and that was fantastic to see, and to have them kind of put this kind of show together that we were talking about a little bit before recording here and putting it out, but stuff like that. Just death in wrestling is never easy and all that kind of stuff, and you never know how to touch on a subject like this, but to put together a tribute show like this, I think was a fantastic way for AEW to still present a product, do all that kind of, typical wrestling stuff, take you, give you some escapism, that kind of wrestling aspect, but also help you remember Brody in a different light. Not feel that you were just sort of remembering him and then moving on.
I mean, terribly sour note to end the year on, obviously.
Oh,
but as heartbreaking as the show was, it was cathartic at the same time.
Yeah.
So, and I would like to think that that's the same way for the workers as it was for the fans. Hopefully, more so. They actually knew the man. So
very true. Yeah.
I'd hope to think that you'd hope. I remember back from the times they did this in the WWE with Eddie Guerrero and Owen Hart and with Chris Benoit. The emotions and the outpouring of stuff from the guys, and lots of people said we weren't forced to do it. We were told if you don't want to appear, you don't have to appear. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that was under a lot of the same thing tonight. That if any of these boys had said no, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
But they did it. The show went on, and so if they can do it, we can do this. So.
Exactly. We want to make sure we bring you something here, and again, it wasn't all, I guess it wasn't all somber. They did their best to sort of bring you the best of Brody in tribute form in all kinds of aspects here tonight. So again, it was a great celebration of life for Mr. Brody, and a great presentation from AEW. So we kind of kicked off though with a very nice 10 bell salute with the entire locker room on the stage. Fantastic to see everybody out there paying their respects to Brody, and to see his wife and two kids there as well. It's just fantastic to see them doing something like this for the family.
Yeah, the 10 bell salute to start it off. Then John Moxley was our first video package, and I thought he probably summed it up best. It's a community in wrestling of fans and the talent and everybody together. Yeah. So something like this happens. It's heartbreaking, obviously, and it's tragic, but it does kind of highlight that togetherness and that community side of it. You end up feeling how it impacted everybody that watched either show for the last however many years. You knew who the guy was.
Yeah.
And so many fans had gotten so behind him during the WWE run, what was perceived as lackluster usage of who people knew was a talented worker. Yeah. And then the disappointing when he was released, except it was for his own lease on life with this. So, right, we're going to AEW, and there's so many people excited with that side of it. And there's so much of that came across tonight with along all the other stories. So.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. No, when they said it's a tribute all around for Brody. So we kind of kicked off with the first of our sort of tribute matches and that kind of thing was Matt Hardy teaming with the Private Party, taking on the Young Bucks, teaming with Colt Cabana. A great kickoff match. I'm going to say they were all tag matches tonight. A lot of just showcasing talent and a lot of fun sort of match types and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought this was a great kind of kickoff, not only in tribute form, but you could tell the guys were just ready to put on something to, I don't want to say break the tension, but sort of, let everyone know what we're kind of in store for tonight, that it's not just about, talking about Brody, but remembering Brody in other ways.
Yeah. And at the same time, I think that AEW did a good job of continuing, or at least weaving in little bits of their own stories to keep some. I mean, Hardy kept alive his current transition of character when he wanted to wield the chair in there against the Bucks, and Isaiah Cassidy said, no, we're not going to do it that way. And then that cost him the match. He didn't want to do it that way, but still, I like that.
They didn't ignore stuff about Colt being with the Dark Order, the Young Bucks not being with the Dark Order, proper storyline stuff with it being broken again tonight with that kind of stuff. Again, they weren't just sort of completely releasing kayfabe and telling you all the behind the scenes, all the behind the curtains kind of stuff. They were able to kind of weave it in a nice way to sort of have these matchups as much as tributes still play into the stories that are going on in the world of AEW. So fantastic showing from the Young Bucks and Colt Cabana here. I really enjoyed them teaming up. A very emotional Colt, you could tell from the start. That really got me, but you could tell he really put a lot into this performance, not only him, but a lot of the Dark Order members tonight. Yeah,
well, he's one of the guys that got a direct rub off of Brody Lee coming to AEW and becoming the Exalted One.
Yeah.
So, and obviously got to work with them a little more closely, being in the Dark Order, doing the BTE stuff with them. I don't know the traveling duos, but we'll assume they were close. They got to be a little bit tighter than some of the guys he wasn't working more directly with. So yeah, you could see on Colt's face early on that it had obviously been a rough week. But no, great match. Good start to the show. Fast-paced tag action as usual. The Hardys never disappoint in that respect. The Private Party right out there with him. So, no, very good match along with the meaningfulness of it. It was also action-packed and good. So.
Yeah, no, great way to kick things off, I think, here. And like you had mentioned earlier, too, I like that they were still able to play into some of the stuff with Matt Hardy and this sort of new side of him, sort of orchestrating the Private Party a little bit more, them trying to listen to him and how effective it was in times and ineffective at other times and stuff like that. So, yeah, still furthering those storylines, but we'll get to those when the time is right and that kind of stuff. But for tonight, they played the perfect kind of role here and as the opponents to the Young Bucks and Colt Cabana. Great win there too. The Colt just looking like $1 million, hitting a ton of bionic elbows on everybody. I think JR was having a great time calling those out. That Chicago skyline though that he hit on Private Party was fantastic, leading into the Indie Taker from the Young Bucks, and then the Superman pin from Colt Cabana, getting the 1-2-3.
Really nice finish.
Yeah, great sequence leading into it, and a match full of great sequences. So a nice way to kind of kick off after all the tribute stuff early on. And
was this the Darby Allin video package next, or did we go straight into the Kingston Butcher Blade match?
We had a quick one from Darby next. Yeah,
it was Darby Allin had the next video package. Current TNT champion. Speaking of the prior TNT champion, then Eddie Kingston, Butcher and the Blade take on Uno and Grayson from the Dark Order, and Lance Archer in full Big Rig / Luke Harper getup.
Yes.
Which I thought was a very nice tribute. And he looked perfect in it too. A few of the times he's doing some of the moves, you're like, oh, that's uncanny.
I know, right? I guess say you we'll pop some jokes here or whatever. It's one of those things like back in the day, you'd say like, oh, geez, don't let Vince get a hold of or get a view of that kind of thing. Yeah. It's going to be one of those Diesel Razor Ramon situations all over again, right? And you just throwing somebody else in that same role. No, he looked like he would fit right in with the Wyatt family. Looked great in the Harper get up. What a fantastic tribute to Brody there. I really enjoyed that. Popped seeing him come out in that gear.
Credit to Excalibur.
Pardon me?
I was going to say credit to Excalibur in this match. You've spoken highly of him since the beginning of doing this podcast. You've always liked his work. He was new to me when I started watching Dynamite, but I really appreciated his insight tonight and his experience with how much he does know of the past, like from these guys. I know that Eddie Kingston and Luke Harper, or Brody Lee rather, had a massive feud back in Chikara over the heavyweight championship there. Right. They had a massive rivalry that was one of Chikara's most famed rivalries from the promotion. So it was nice to have him there that could talk about that and shed that and expand on why Kingston's in the match and why it matters to him as much as well and stuff. So, because I don't think we'd have gotten that from JR.
For sure, I think that's always been my argument for Excalibur. As much as he's had to sort of, I'll definitely say he's had to kind of work to be a little bit more like TV friendly in those cadences and stuff like that, kind of coming from indie commentary and stuff like that. But his, he's very on point, and then I think he just offers that other side of the history for all these guys that you don't get from. You get the classic stuff from Tony and JR, which is great, but I just think to get it from some of these guys you are unaware of, it's good to have someone like that to give the history, and I think Excalibur's doing a great job in that role.
It's what Mike Tenay, or similar to what Mike Tenay used to bring to WCW broadcasts back in the day, where you had him to be the professor who knew what the holds were.
Totally, and he knew all the cruiserweight guys, right? And the guys coming over from Mexico, and was able to talk about them more. The New Japan guys that would work in WCW to be able to, take that off of Shivani and the other kind of commentator team at that time.
Yeah, Heenan had no idea who they were.
You weren't going to bother getting Dusty trying to talk. You had a hard enough time saying the names, I think.
He got a bicycle. He got a bicycle.
But no, I think this again. I think the Dark Order were fantastically utilized tonight in a lot of these tribute matches, and I think and especially in a light that we haven't seen. They've since the establishment of AEW, they have been heels. They've been always playing that role in the matches and that kind of stuff. Obviously, in the matches though tonight, it's very hard to book them in that kind of situation or look at them in that kind of situation. And I think that was really well received in some of these matches to see just how well they can be portrayed in these matches too, like Evil Uno and Stu here, pulling off some really big moves and stuff like that, standing up to Eddie Kingston with Evil Uno early on. He just looked like a whole different side to Evil Uno, as well as Stu Grayson here.
Yeah, for sure. And the fatality finisher, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Really, they pulled it off nice. It looked great. No, I agree. I think that was they were introduced tonight like that, right? This was the Dark Order are going to be matched with the baby faces against the evildoers, the evil heels in AEW for one night only, and they get the clean sweep. Because you can give a clean sweep to the baby faces in a show like this.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it just worked out perfectly how many members they got of the Dark Order and how broken up the way they divided everybody out. Like, it just worked perfectly for them numerical wise.
Yeah. You're able to keep track of everybody, and there's no problems there. But the fatality finish, as you mentioned, great ending for the Dark Order, getting the win there from Evil Uno getting the pin is what I meant to be saying there. And then Eddie Kingston getting his comeuppance as all four of them kind of the three of them start laying into him. And then a fourth person gets a nice little dig into him as well, as Jake Roberts steps into the ring and lays into a nice little a short arm clothesline.
Just the short arm
Chris Jericho
clothesline.
Had quite the pop for.
Yeah. I loved it too. I hoped he was going to scoop him up and hit him with the DDT to finish the job, but
maybe not.
Short arm clothesline is just a setup, man.
Yeah.
But oh well.
But the clothesline, a nice tribute to Brody, and it's a nice little pop, especially with Eddie doing the little dig at doing the DDT earlier on in the match, looking at Jake. So nice to have the heels kind of still play heels as much as they tried to play tribute to Brody before the start. Eddie did a good job of that, saying that kind of stuff, but then still going into the match. But again, you can say you laid out, you knew the faces were going to go over, but they still tried to make these matches enjoyable and nice to see these guys in a different kind of light. Next up, this was an emotional one for sure, but a great match. Hangman teaming once again with Silver and Reynolds, taking on MJF, Santana, and Ortiz. John Silver coming out wearing matching Brody gear attire that he had gotten. Brody had gotten him that was going to be a bit on BTE that they were going to film. Unfortunately, never got to take place in this case. But he wore the gear out there tonight with his jacket, him and Reynolds looking like $1 million, teaming up with Hangman here. Going up against MJF, Santana, and Ortiz. I love the opener with the papers. That made me pop. That was
awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I wondered why they were keeping the jackets on. Like they were looking so good, but he kept pulling them in. And I was like, what is he like? Like we know he's wearing the suit. He talked about it online. Like he don't hide the gear. We know we're gonna see it. But to have that pop of them having the papers hidden in the jackets, really great opener.
And MJF rocking some different attire slightly as well, with the Puerto Rican flag on the back side of his trunks now.
Yes,
he's firmly getting pride and powerful on side, and the MJF side of the Inner Circle train. So again, furthering some of their own devices. Some of the plots did move along a little bit, despite the fact that it was very much a tribute show. It didn't detract from it. Didn't make me feel like they used the occasion at all. They meshed both of them together just beautifully.
Yeah, and for sure. Great excuse to have them teaming together, and then and introducing.
But the way the matches rolled and the way the guys all worked, you did feel like nobody was booked tonight any more than like, go out there and have your match, go out and do your moves, do your stuff. You get over tonight. Like, don't all the way up to 10, obviously, in the main event.
For sure.
Everybody just got to go out and you get a better show that way, as well.
You can tell that AEW knows how to, put on these kind of, any other night, it would be, we would talk about the repetitiveness of a lot of tag matches or something like that if it was any other kind of thing, but they knew what tonight was and how these sort of matches had to sort of play out and that kind of thing. So I think they did their best with such a dark kind of situation here. So a great way to Silver and Reynolds looking fantastic in this match. And I wanted to touch on that while we were still talking about MJF teaming with Santana and Ortiz, and again just the subtleties like we were talking about with the Hardy and Private Party stuff. I like the matching gear and stuff. Again, it just puts it in your head if they do start to introduce the trios things. They're already looking like a team. If they start working like a team in a trios type situation, again, it's already establishing it, before having to make it seem more forced, right? So I liked that on that side of things. But yeah, great match all around from Silver and Reynolds looking getting all their sort of great runaround spots. Hangman looking like real strong as well. What did you make of MJF getting some heat on poor little -1?
I mean, there's obviously the part of you that's like, oh, that ain't right. But at the end of the day, again, MJF is as heartbroken as everybody else, and you doing your tribute, you're doing it right. You work your character properly.
Yeah,
this is the absolute best thing. I don't know if you saw on Twitter, but about 2 minutes after the kid whacked him with the kendo stick, he actually tweeted, "Fuck that kid."
Yeah.
And he is taking some heat, baby.
Oh, I bet. I
mean, but to me,
but yeah,
it's the ultimate character. It's in character. It's what he should say. It's what he would say. It's his way of saying, without breaking character, R.I.P. Brody.
Yeah,
I did this with your kid as my thing, right?
Yeah, and as much as you can get, heat around that situation and then all that kind of stuff, you have to sort of break the idea and think like, well, if they had to work out the idea of wrestling and all that kind of stuff, obviously he had to work out the spot with little Brody or with Brody Jr., all that kind of stuff. It wasn't just, the reality of the situation, that kind of stuff, right? There was more at play there than you actually see. But no, I was all for it. But again, I was like, ooh, I'm gonna say of all the nights, maybe to get heat, maybe not the night. Maybe, and again, if I had to criticize it a little, maybe if he had just done it the one time and then got hit, I think he didn't necessarily need to start the match with it. I think they have enough heat being Inner Circle members, but I was fine with that. But they maybe needed that heat because it certainly helped with the other pop that we got with this match.
Pop of the night, baby. Rowan came down to make the save. And holy shit, I marked out more than I did for Sting's debut. I swear to Christ.
It was just so unexpected,
I have never
right?
marked out for Rowan like that. I think if you go back and when Harper returned to WWE,
right,
had his return where he came back in with Rowan and hit that massive discus clothesline on Reigns and helped him win that match.
Right.
I never marked out as hard for Harper as I did that night, because that was such a shocking return and thing and devastating, impactful appearance.
When he had teamed with Daniel, right? Is that what you're talking about? Like when he had helped Daniel Bryan, like in his.
Oh, that was it was Daniel Bryan that he helped out, not Roman.
Yeah,
but it was Roman that he nailed with the clothesline that went into the feud with. And that tonight, that was just that same kind of like, oh my God, Never thought I'd be cheering this much to see this guy.
Yeah, so unexpected, but what a great night to have him show up on this tribute night. Hager got in the ring and was just sort of wrecking house with everybody, hitting them with the big clotheslines instead of the other people doing the kind of tributes, really getting some heat for Hager's kind of return here. And they were kind of building to like someone, getting the comeuppance on this guy, but who was it going to be? And that was the last person I thought was going to come running out the gate, but that's just the joy of wrestling. You never know who's behind that curtain. And what a great way, because again, he's not affiliated with any companies right now or anything like that, but a nice way for him to be associated with somebody right now to do a tribute, especially to have him here on that night. Fantastic. So, and again, you don't want any of this show to end up on Botchamania, but Chris Jericho stumbling over what to call him was kind of funny as well, because again, it doesn't matter, but again, the rules of wrestling, and it is what it is. He knows him as Eric Rowan, so it's Eric Rowan, and instantly you can hear Excalibur, hey, Redbeard, it's Eric Redbeard. Let's call him Big Redbeard. Like anything about the other name you just said, but it is what it is.
I believe he directly said his Luke Brody's former partner of the Bludgeon Brothers.
Oh yeah, they just stopped. And again, it doesn't matter, especially on a night like tonight. It is what it is, right?
No one's suing anybody.
No. And if you do, wow, of all the nights to do it, they don't have the fan base left to burn over in the WWE. Yeah. Connecticut can't afford to lose any more fucking goodwill. Exactly. Choose your battles on that one, right? And definitely not worth it. So great spot from Eric Redbeard here, even not making the flop, but to come out making the save for the Hangman and Silver here. Silver getting the discus lariat and getting the pin. A very emotional Silver in the end here, but another tribute from more Dark members as well as Hangman.
Then we had a video package from Eddie Kingston. He talked nicely about Brody and had some great words for his kids as well.
Yes,
which again, like just heartbreaking. I don't know what else to say about that kind of stuff.
Say all of them were just everyone did a really good tribute and a really nice dedications to everyone. I think we kind of skipped over one a little earlier too if we were jumping through.
Yeah,
so we did have a nice one from Dax and
the 4-pack. Yeah. Dax, Arn, Colt came in, and the referee Bryce
Rendsburg. Yeah,
Rendsburg. He got to speak a little. Then we went to Tay Conti and number 99 Anna Jay taking on Britt Baker with Reba, and Penelope Ford. And TSN at this point, they tweeted out, apart from their interview with Brody Lee from just like a month or so ago, who spoke about the 99. And we talked about this on this show and the radio show. Yeah. Wondering why initially. And Brody directly talked about it in that interview and said it was his call. He picked 99. It is a direct reference to Wayne Gretzky as the great one. And it was his nod to hockey and Gretzky. He's the only one that cares about it. That is what he said. So they retweeted that as well. So a little bit of like what I thought was my own wrestling trivia now is everybody's wrestling trivia.
Absolutely. We're kind of confirming that tonight, even with JR wondering if it was from a different show or something like that. They were for sure to correct him and be like, no, this was Mr. Brody's choice. She was named 99 as a tribute to one of his favorite hockey players. Wayne Gretzky, being a big hockey fan, Brody Lee was. So another, you can say once again, a fantastic tribute from another Dark Order member and Anna Jay here. And a good back and forth from all four of these women, from Taya Conte getting some great moves and Penelope Ford as well as Britt Baker.
This was quite possibly for me match of the night, and some of that is probably just because it was a tag match versus a six-way, where there's always going to be more interaction, more focus on everybody got to do their spot, everybody got to do this or that, versus it being a match. This felt more like a match, and they all worked their tails off. It was awesome. Really good match. I thought Baker and Ford both looked great.
Yeah, and I like them teaming together too, yeah.
Yeah, and Tay Conte and Anna Jay looked, I mean, I haven't seen either of them get this kind of spotlight. Again, terrible reasoning for the highlights under different circumstances, et cetera, all that stuff aside. Yeah, it was nice for them to get the kind of shine and definitely to have this kind of match to go with that.
Yeah.
Proving they could have this spot any week on TV. It didn't need to be just a tribute show spot.
No. Yeah, this one probably felt the least like sort of odd bedfellows type pairings kind of thing. We've already seen Anna and Taya teaming together, and then Britt teaming up with another heel is not sort of unexpected. I think they may have even teamed in the tournament together, so it's possible they've teamed at least in the past, so it would not
The only oddity at all. Sorry, the only oddity at all is it's like heels versus heels in that aspect. But you know, again, AEW doesn't lean heavily on that kind of shit, so it didn't affect my watching of it.
No, for sure, it doesn't necessarily take you out of it. And again, tonight certainly seemed like a way to sort of be looking at all the men and women in the Dark Order in a different kind of light, and showing that they can wrestle a different way as well. So I think we got to see that from Anna here. Great showing from her, getting with the Queen Slayer, I think is what she calls her rear naked choke there, catching. Was it Penelope in it? I think, yeah, it was Penelope, as Britt was taken out, and Reva also taken out by Taya Conte.
And then Britt Baker summoned Tony Schiavone to the ring to give her her tribute, which was well done, well paced, and everything else. And then again, they add to their own story. They sent out Thunder Rosa comes out and puts the attack on Britt.
Yeah, the perfect person to kind of shut her up after her sort of like trying to take a rib at the things being rigged and all being a big rig. So that was a very nice sort of tribute from her, but then also being able to further the storyline between her and Thunder Rosa. So another fantastic match and tribute as well. I think we get our last testimonial. We got Chris Jericho and a very nice kind of story, remembering Brody and telling some stuff about him, it kind of encapsulating that before we kind of break down some of the stuff that's coming up for New Year's Bash in the new year, as well as our main event.
Yeah, you want to go through next week's one or just skip it?
I mean, you say it doesn't matter. We can. I didn't really write much down. I remember most.
I wrote down next week's. I think I caught the whole card. It's Shida versus Abaddon for the women's championship.
Yeah.
Young Bucks and SCU taking on the Acclaimed and What are they?
TH2.
TH2. Thank you. I had HT2. I knew I had that wrong. Jake Hager taking on Wardlow, which should be a really good big Hoss match.
Yeah, that was set up last week. So yeah, I guess that knew that was coming.
I'm looking forward to seeing Wardlow in that. I think this is a real TSN turning point for him.
Yeah, it's a standout.
He has a big match. This is going to make him next week, like against the Hager. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And then Cody Rhodes will take on Matt Sydal. I expect more interesting shit to happen.
Yes. Yeah.
Like something tells me that match isn't just going to be those two in a pure wrestling match. But I don't know what it is yet that's going to come down. Probably something with Team Taz because it's Cody involved, but we'll see.
Unless it is just sort of a co-promotion, because I guess it's the premiere of that new show tonight, I guess, or that week,
the big one, the big whatever
with Cody, and I guess that's why they wanted to make sure Cody was in a match, and that was sort of Sydal's beef going into it. So I don't know if that maybe Snoop Dogg and Burt Kreischer get involved, and J-Lo or whoever else is. Snoop Dogg's on commentary.
He's commentating next week.
That might be one of those kind of jumble matches, but yeah, who knows what kind of stories will kind of further from there. We can
maybe we can end up with Snoop Dogg versus Shaquille O'Neal at some point down the road.
Well, we never know in AEW, right? Anyone can come behind that curtain. But yes, we get to this fantastic main event picked out by -1 himself. Brody Jr. picked out his 3 favorite AEW wrestlers: Cody Rhodes, Orange Cassidy, and 10 Preston Vance from the Dark Order.
Choice of his third man, isn't it? Like
a little
the first two, you can totally see that he must have just gotten along real well with Preston backstage.
I'm gonna say that seems like more of a personal thing. He must just someone that he got to know, maybe just. It liked the look of Preston, and someone that he just obviously wanted to make sure got a nice little rub here, or maybe someone that his dad talked highly of, but a great sort of platform for him as they took on Team Taz.
Yeah.
And again, like I say, hard to say anything that's different from the rest of the matches of the night. I think a great way to pay tribute to Brody, as well as kind of tell a different story, as well as you had 3 of the same kind of match, these 6-man tags. So again, he didn't kind of just want to have a rinse and repeat. So I did kind of like a little bit of the because this had the most strange bedfellows of the pairings, right? So they kind of played off a little bit of that early on, and then they were able to work together. So that was nice to have that kind of be the story going forward. But again, nice way to showcase Orange Cassidy as well as 10 here quite a bit, and Cody Rhodes as well. And Team Taz, I think they played great heels in this persona. They're working very fluently together, the 3 of them.
Ricky Starks looks like $1 million. Powerhouse Hobbs looks better every week. and Brian Cage is phenomenal. So I feel like it's a matter of time before these guys are pushed as like the lead heel group over the Inner Circle. Once Inner Circle does their breakup and separation, at least 3 guys are with maybe an additional 1 or 2, maybe a girl gets thrown in the mix. But I think that Team Taz is going to be the dominating force in 2021 on the heel side of the roster. I get that feeling. And I mean, elevated again with not just in main events like this, but the man that keeps getting in their face when they won't back down after they lose the match and they start their beat down of the 3 good guys or the 2 good guys and 10. Once again, the lights go out. The first man when the lights come back on is Darby Allin, TNT champion. The second man, accompanied with the Snow, the familiar Snow. It's Sting!
You can't not still pop for Sting. Still, again, it's maybe depleting a little bit. I love it. I love Sting. I'm going to mark out all I can. Same way I do for Taker back in the day. So I will keep marking out for Sting here, teaming up with Darby once again, yes, they chased off the Team Taz guys. A nice way to sort of end off that segment. Like I say, a little thing that I was thinking in my head, we were sort of talking about this way before off air when we were talking earlier today about how this sort of feels like, again, you knew you were going to see a different side of the Dark Order, but was this maybe going to be the sort of last hurrah of the Dark Order? Like, how do you really go forward? I think they'll maybe try to have some kind of story, but it's obviously not going to have the feeling that it had before this moving forward. And I thought this maybe was going to be a nice kind of moment to have, again, because this was such the odd pairings in the corner, but then being able to work together and get the comeuppance and that kind of stuff. I wondered if maybe Preston would get the moment to like unmask and like sort of reveal himself as himself now afterwards, or rejoin the Nightmare family or something like that, to sort of give him a progression going forward off of this thing, not just the sort of teaming up. But I guess again, it all depends on what they want going forward for them. But I think all that aside, a great showing for Preston.
Yeah, and that could still happen. My favorite moment of this match actually was Jim Ross, who at least the aftermath when Sting had come down. He mentioned the Blade Runner. I've been this guy all the way since the Blade Runners. Google it, kids. I'll save you the Google trip. It's the Blade Runners of Sting and the Ultimate Warrior, their original tag team.
That's right.
Sting and I believe the Ultimate Warrior in those days was just called Rock. Sting and Rock.
Fair. So that was not the like. What was he had
Dingo Warrior.
Dingo Warrior.
Dingo Warrior. Maybe it's right. It's Dingo Warrior, and Sting wasn't his first name. Oh boy, now I feel silly. I should have looked it up myself. But anyway, that was the Blade Runners, was Sting and the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, I knew. I thought I remember that.
But yeah,
I do remember Dingo Warrior. It's one of those ones that always sticks out.
Yeah, what a great name.
Oh, of course. I'm surprised they changed it, right?
Unless you're eating babies, you don't call yourself the Dingo Warrior.
Maybe not the best choice.
So then after this, we moved into the absolutely fucking heartbreaking finish of the show. Tony Khan and I think it was Preston as well that was in the ring right at that point still.
Preston and Cody had both stayed, yeah.
And Cody was there. They brought Brody Lee's wife, Amanda, and his son, Brody Lee Jr., into the ring. And they had his boots. And so...
As soon as he walked in with those boots, or she had the boots at first, I just...
yeah.
I'm going to say I had a few moments here and there throughout the night, but that one, it made it so real.
It's the symbolism. Everybody understands the symbolism of to put the boots or the gloves into the middle of the ring and signifying the end of a career. And this is the end of life as well. So doubly sad. And then the video package. I mean, my God, anyone that says the WWE, the only ones that can produce video, got to watch this at the very least, because they're not the only game in town anymore. Like, this was a video package to end all video packages. Just tear-wrenching, like,
absolutely.
saddest thing I ever saw, man.
Yeah, beautiful tribute to his entire career. There was no, you wonder with some of these things, are they only going to be able to have the access to the footage from AEW or whichever, but there was nothing holding back in this video package from his early career to random backyard wrestling footage. They must have, really stretched out such a short period of time to put something together here, as well as the photos and videos from wrestlers, not only in AEW, from WWE and beyond as well, all contributing to this amazing video package here. to Brody. Yeah, no, it was absolutely heartbreaking. Just a fantastic way to sign off to a fantastic wrestler, and a great way to end this show, because again, he didn't. This whole thing is it's weird and strange, and you didn't know what to expect or whatever. But I think AEW did a beautiful job, bell to bell here, trying to really celebrate the life of Brody Lee. So hats off to them for sure. And that video package, great way to end things.
Yeah, the whole show, it was everything I wanted to see as a fan of both John Huber, the man, the wrestlers that he's been, the companies, the shows, the product, the sport. Like it was what you want. Like I felt, honestly, for me, this was very much the same as when Owen Hart died, when Eddie Guerrero died.
Yeah.
The day that we were told about Chris Benoit's death, and then the very next day, and then not so much the same 2 days afterwards, but those initial first days after, it's that shock of, because we didn't privy to any of the information, we didn't know what was going on. You had speculated he might have been quarantined in advance of an appearance in New Japan.
Yeah,
the New Year's show, which I thought was a brilliant, and that would explain why they, oh no, we don't want to talk about it. It added up, and it seemed like, oh, that would be great. And what a great way to see him come back after the losing the TNT belt. And
like AEW has always been so transparent, even if it was working relationships or things like that, if they were kind of opening up, or the other companies. And again, the wrestling world, there's only so many secrets that can be kept and that kind of stuff. So the fact that it was being so quiet, sickness was the last thing it seemed on everyone's mind. So that's what made it so shocking, because everyone was just expecting that next big debut, because this debut here in AEW was just so well done on his part as well as AEW's part, to have this Exalted One character and this Brody Lee character. He just hit it out of the park to show this new side of him after all the Luke Harper stuff that he was doing, which was great as well, but just maybe not everything that he could have been. And this was a whole other side that people got to see. And then you were just sort of, okay, we've got the TNT title match, the Cody match, the stuff with John Moxley, the matches with Orange Cassidy. What's next? What are we going to get next out of Brody? And the radio silence kind of made you feel that, okay, it really feels like something special is coming. Something is in the works that's on its way. And it was really, really added to the shock level of hearing the tragedy that he's no longer with us. So
just so unexpected. As if you never expected shit, but
no,
so unexpected.
No,
and so just a fitting tribute, and everything you want to see, as heartbreaking and as sad as it was also cathartic, as I said at the start of the show, and it allowed me to release some more emotion on it. And I
was gonna say, it's not the way you want to end the year on like a big emotional thing like this, but I think cathartic is the best way to kind of put it, because not only with the Brody stuff, it lets you put in context everything else as well, as you wrap up this whole kind of crazy year and kind of drink everything in, as well as enjoying some really fun wrestling matches and just sort of a great way to kind of lift some of that pressure that sadness can bring and things like that. So it was some levity to the situation here, and again, a very weird, unfortunate situation, but again, they sort of make their best with a very sad kind of thing here, and we kind of do the best with what we can here on Low Blow as well. We knew this was going to be a bit of a strange one, but I think we had a bit of a fun time running through this great card that they had. Any last final thoughts about John Huber before we kind of sign off for this one?
I honestly, off the top, I said to you earlier today in the station, I don't know how they go forward with the Dark Order at this point. And I thought it was noticeable and notable that they're not currently booked on the next 2 weeks. Like none of the Dark Order members appear over the next 2 weeks in the New Year's Bash stuff.
Yeah.
That could be partially give them a break. That could also be partially reset some of these characters a bit, because where do we go from here at this point?
Yeah.
Silva, I agree with JR from earlier in the night. John Silver's a white meat babyface. Let's just do it now. Let's just make this, do it as almost you've hit a reset button switch. Everybody knows why. Yeah. And without any great background story, they come out with somewhat new characters in the new year at some point, and
if you
need
any excuse to introduce the trios titles right away here in January, kick things off, your first trios champion, Silver Reynolds and Hangman, like, oh my God, people will just love to see him getting a rub like that, them together. It's just been such a fantastic thing. So you want, again, you don't want to see what's all of a sudden been a great push for these guys that Brody was able to give them. But again, like you said, it's hard to think of where you go next or for without Brody. And I think that tonight was a nice way to sort of maybe send off to some of those things. And if they're going to maybe branch off into other paths, they could always pay tribute to the Dark Order as a kind of element, but it'll never quite be, what it is without their exalted one. But I think, like I said, a real tough time thinking about a lot of Brody memories. I'm going to say all week with people paying tribute to him and stuff like that. With someone I'm going to say in my gap of wrestling, I sort of had to go back to find stuff that he had done. But always really enjoyed it. But one of my first matches ever actually seeing him my story in getting back into wrestling was Sting coming back to WWE, and his debut was at WrestleMania 31. And at that WrestleMania was a ladder match, and Luke Harper was in that. And I thought he was just fantastic as a big guy, taking huge spots. Like I think Moxley was in there. I think Cody might have been as well. So I mean, a lot of talent that you're now seeing in other different sort of situations. But again, he was a real kind of standout star. Looking back into the Wyatt family stuff, just fantastic work there all around. Just an amazing guy, and will truly be missed from all the stuff we got to see and hear over the last few days. So yeah, a fantastic tribute.
You want to take a dip over to the Octagon?
We could, or we will. So pay our tributes to Brody, and then we can shift over to maybe a bit of a year-end wrap-up here on LowBlowRadio.
Well, no, I was going to say I was going to suggest maybe we bypass do our year-end awards thing because we've already gone over an hour now.
Well, okay, fair enough.
I wanted to ask you, had you seen the breaking news from UFC tonight?
I did not. Okay, maybe we can have a big shocker here to end the little show. Maybe I'll just add this as a clip on the later on. But anyway, continue.
Israel Adesanya is dropping down, challenging for the title against Jans.
Down?
Champion versus champion. He's going for that title.
Wait, so
Adesanya is going to drop to 185, I think it is, right?
No, he is the 185 champ. So Jan is coming down because the talk was that. So
Jan's coming down then.
Okay.
Because that's the fight. Title versus title, Adesanya. But I thought it said Adesanya was coming down. So maybe, unless whoever was reporting it on Twitter just got that ass backwards, and Adesanya's going up.
Adesanya is the 85 champ, and Yan is the 205 champ. So I always thought it was Yan going, or I always thought it was Israel going up, which was the original talk. But now it's that Yan's going to come down.
Well, hang on. Now I'm going to find out officially on the from the source rather than
fair enough.
That's
how we end things here on the Low Blow Radio. A little breaking news. No, I hadn't heard that. I heard a little talk about the tentatively maybe making the Conor Poirier fight for that belt,
light heavyweight title fight headlining UFC 259. So it'll be for the light heavyweight title.
So that'll be Israel going up. So that is quite the story then. Yeah, that's him, which was always kind of what people were speculating. I think that's really exciting. I think for him to do that. I think a little unfortunate for his division because I don't like a stale mate thing like that, especially if he wins that belt. I hate as cool as a double champion is, it gets tough in defense and stuff like that. But
it's cool in theory. It doesn't work in practice. I don't like it. And I
think my argument goes back to, I think when we first kind of talked about this too, which is like there's a lot of other cool challengers for Yan being such a fresh face at 205. Yes. I think going straight to super fight isn't necessarily the smartest move. I still think fun and all around great, but he has a lot more to lose in that situation than Israel does.
I agree. I think my counterpoint, not an argument because I agree with you, but I would just counter with what are we looking forward to right now? Right? Usually we'd be looking forward to the big fights tonight or tomorrow night that would be going down that aren't, or a huge January main event.
No, very true.
So I on that aspect of it, in a way of like, oh my goodness, driving eyeballs and getting some Latin fans back in, and some
if they're talking about it
out.
Yeah, if they're talking about it, let's get it done, get it rolling, get some fans in, get them interested, help make a name off Israel for Yan as well, having
Sure.
also that championship and his place there as well. So I think,
Too many times,
I'm definitely going to watch it.
too many times I think they've held back on doing the super fight, or the guys start talking about it and then, well, we got to go through this guy or go through this guy. Time will, and then time runs out.
Yeah.
And we never got to see GSP and Anderson Silva and, other fights along those lines. So, I mean, career-wise, I wouldn't say I'm all for it, but I'm for it.
Yeah, no, career-wise, they're at a pretty good point. It just a more so division. I never liked the sort of the one thing we've kind of learned in the sort of championship champion versus champion situations, unless you have completely dead divisions like with Amanda or what happens with some of the other divisions. The champions one title tends to be defended more than the other, so someone has to decide one, or one gets relinquished, yada yada yada. But still a cool, very exciting I think big draw for Yan and Israel. Big exciting stuff for UFC. Maybe we'll have to do more of that here on Low Blow Radio, since we're not all just AEW shills, but we do enjoy all the stuff on our pictures here. We don't just talk about one, but a great show from them and a nice kind of way to end things here. Wow, what a 2020, Chris. And I think that about wraps things up for our Low Blow Radio podcast.
It's been a hell of a year.
It certainly
looking forward to next year.
Absolutely. Well, where can everybody hear this final episode?
You can listen to this. Well, you listen to us on the radio every week on Wednesday nights, 88.7 The River, if you're in Ontario. If you can't catch it on the radio, you can catch it online. Stream it at 887theriver.ca. Or you can hear this podcast in audio format coming off of Sounder to all of the various podcasty things.
Absolutely. And if you're here on YouTube, make sure you thank you all for watching. You can get into the comments, let us know what you thought about this beautiful tribute to Brody Lee. You can like this video for us. Thank you very much for doing that. You can share it with your friends. You can also subscribe and let you know when there's new videos if you ring the little bell. All that kind of fun stuff, help the channel grow, all those kind of things. And we'll see you in 2021. And that wraps things up here for Low Blow Radio Podcast.
Adios, amigos.